Would you stay silent? Or let revenge speak for you? Welcome to the stories on Shattered Vengeance. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. I found out at Thanksgiving dinner. Not from my parents. From cousin Rachel, who just booked the family cabin for New Year's weekend through Airbnb. "Can't wait to use it," Rachel said, passing the stuffing. "Your mom's listing looked amazing. All those professional photos." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "What listing?" Rachel pulled out her phone, showing me the Airbnb page. There was my lake house, the one I'd bought myself 3 years ago with my signing bonus. The property I'd spent 18 months renovating. My sanctuary. Listed by the Henderson family. Price, $400 per night. Bookings, 12 confirmed reservations spanning the next 4 months. Total collected deposits, $4,800. I scrolled through the photos. My furniture. My kayaks. My hand-refinished deck. The description read, "Charming family cabin available for the first time. Sleeps 8, pristine lake access, fully renovated. The Henderson family is excited to share this special place." "Rachel," I said carefully, "I need to make a call." I stepped onto the back porch, dialing my property management attorney, the one who'd handled my purchase closing. It was 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving, but David answered on the second ring. "Emma? What's wrong?" I explained in 3 sentences. "Don't confront them yet," he said immediately. "Forward me that listing link. I'm calling Airbnb's fraud division right now. This is textbook property theft." I forwarded the link with shaking hands, then returned to dinner. Mom was talking about holiday plans. "We're so blessed to have family gathering places. That cabin has been in our hearts for generations." In our hearts. Not in our names. I'd bought that property at 28 with money I'd earned. The deed had only my name. My parents had never contributed a dollar. They'd actually called it a waste of money on a fixer-upper when I closed. Now they were calling it a family heirloom. My phone buzzed. "David, Airbnb escalation team is investigating. Don't tip them off." The gambler's fallacy had caught me again. I'd kept thinking, if I just prove myself successful enough, responsible enough, independent enough, they'll see me as an adult. But they didn't want me to be independent. They wanted me to be a resource they could liquidate. Dinner ended. I drove home to my apartment. Ironically, I rented in the city because I kept my lake house as a genuine weekend retreat, not a rental property. I spent Thanksgiving night documenting everything. Screenshots of the Airbnb listing, my deed, my renovation receipts, my property tax payments. The ghost ledger of this felt different than financial theft. They hadn't just stolen money. They'd stolen my refuge. Cost of telling family about cabin purchase. "Why do you need that much space alone?" Translation: "You're selfish." Cost of sharing photos of renovation. "Must be nice to afford hobbies." Translation: "You're showing off." Cost of declining family visits. "It's just a cabin, not a palace." Translation: "You're not special." Cost of existing as property owner. Threat to their narrative that I was still their dependent resource. They'd made me feel guilty for having boundaries around my own property. And while I felt that guilt, they'd been photographing my house, measuring my rooms, and calculating rental income. Friday morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Miss Henderson? This is James Chun from Airbnb's Trust and Safety Verification Team. We need to discuss listing 4783924. My heart hammered. Yes. Our standard verification process cross-references property listings with public ownership databases. The property at 847 Lakeshore Drive is registered solely to you, Emma Marie Henderson. However, the listing account belongs to Patricia Henderson, who claims family co-ownership. Can you clarify this relationship?" "Patricia Henderson is my mother," I said. "She has no ownership stake. She's never contributed to purchase, renovation, taxes, insurance, or maintenance. I bought this property solely in my name 3 years ago." Silence. Then, "I see. And you did not authorize this listing." "I didn't even know about it until yesterday." "Ms. Henderson, I need to inform you that your mother has collected $4,800 in deposits from 12 separate bookings. Some guests are scheduled to arrive in 6 days. This constitutes platform fraud and potential criminal property theft. The procedural justice system activated. James walked me through the process. Airbnb would immediately suspend the listing and freeze the account. They'd notify all booked guests of cancellation due to ownership verification failure. They'd refund all deposits. And they'd flag my parents' account for fraud investigation. What happens to the money they already collected? I asked. Airbnb will refund guests from our guarantee fund, then pursue recovery from your mother's linked bank account. If she spent it, we'll file a civil claim. We also report fraud over $5,000 to law enforcement. This is $4,800, but with the 12 bookings fully paid, total attempted fraud is $19,200. $19,000. They tried to collect $19,000 renting my house without my knowledge. I'll send you a formal affidavit to sign, James continued. We'll need your deed, property tax records, and insurance documents showing sole ownership. Once we receive those, we'll proceed with account termination and fraud referral. I sent everything within an hour. By Friday afternoon, the Airbnb listing had vanished. By Friday evening, my mother called. Emma, something's wrong with our Airbnb account. Suspended. Can you help fix it? Our Airbnb account. My property. I can't help with that, Mom. What do you mean? We have guests arriving next week. Those guests are being refunded because you listed a property you don't own. Silence. Then, the cabin belongs to the family. The deed says otherwise. That's my name. Only my name. You never bought it, never paid for it, never renovated it. You actually told me it was a waste of money. We raised you. We gave you the values that led to success. The causation fallacy. Because they'd been my parents, they believed they owned percentages of everything I earned, bought, or built. That doesn't give you ownership rights to my property. What you did is fraud. Airbnb is investigating. They've frozen the $4,800 you collected and flagged the account for criminal referral. My father's voice in the background. Criminal? Over a family misunderstanding. Dad, you collected deposits from 12 families to stay in a house you don't own. That's not a misunderstanding. That's theft. Mom's voice cracked. We were going to tell you. We just needed to establish the rental history first, then bring you in as a partner. Establish rental history. In my house. With my furniture. Using my utilities. Without my knowledge. I'm the only owner, I said. There is no partnership. The listing is gone. Don't contact those guests. Don't go near that property. I'm changing the locks this weekend. I hung up. Within 3 days the cascade began. Microclimax 1. Airbnb formally terminated my parents' account and banned them from the platform. Microclimax 2. 12 guest families received cancellation notices and full refunds, with explanations that the listing violated platform policies. Microclimax 3. 3 of those families, who'd paid in full for holiday weeks, left scathing reviews on my parents' now suspended profile, visible to Airbnb's internal fraud team. Microclimax 4. Airbnb's recovery team sent formal demand to my mother's bank account for the $4,800 in deposits plus $2,400 in platform fees and guest compensation. Total $7,200. Microclimax 5. My mother's bank account didn't have $7,200. She'd already spent the deposits on Christmas shopping and a cruise deposit. Microclimax 6. Airbnb filed a civil collections claim. Microclimax 7. I changed every lock on the lake house and installed a security system with cameras. Microclimax 8. I found my parents had given keys to 2 family members who'd been checking on the place and taking additional listing photos. Microclimax 9. I sent cease and desist letters to those family members, drafted by David. Microclimax 10. One of the disappointed Airbnb guests, a lawyer, contacted me directly after seeing my name on property records, asking if I was aware my property had been fraudulently listed. I explained. She offered to testify if needed. Microclimax 11. My parents tried to claim I'd given implied permission by not explicitly forbidding them from listing it. David laughed and sent them a formal legal response. Microclimax 12. Extended family started asking questions. Why were Patricia and Robert banned from Airbnb? Why did they owe $7,200? What happened? The truth spread like water finding cracks. Aunt Kelly called me. Your parents told me you'd agreed to let them manage the cabin as a rental and split profits. They said you were too busy. I never agreed to that, I said. They never asked. They just listed it and collected money. They asked us for $2,000 last month, Kelly said slowly. Said they needed to cover cabin expenses before rental income started. We gave it to them. Another layer. They'd fraudulently collected rental deposits and borrowed money from family for cabin expenses on a property they didn't own. Kelly wasn't the only one. Uncle Tom had lent them $1,500. Cousin Mike gave them $800 for property taxes. Total additional fraud, $4,300. Combined with Airbnb deposits, $9,100 collected using my property as collateral. The extended family confronted them at Christmas, an event I skipped. According to Kelly, my parents claimed I was being selfish about family resources, and that children owe parents for their upbringing. My uncle, a retired CPA, did the math publicly. You collected $9,100 using Emma's property. He bought that house herself. You have no ownership claim. This is fraud. The family fractured that day. 6 months later, the final consequences settled into place. Financial. My parents paid back Airbnb's $7,200 through a payment plan that took 18 months. They never repaid family members. Those relationships stayed broken. Legal. Airbnb's fraud report went to local police. No charges filed due to amount and family relationship, but a formal report exists. Social. Extended family stopped inviting my parents to gatherings. The phrase "the Airbnb incident" became family shorthand for their dishonesty. Family. I haven't spoken to my parents in 6 months. They sent a Christmas card to my apartment. I recycled it unopened. My lake house is still mine. Only mine. I spent last weekend there alone, kayaking at sunrise. The water was glass smooth. The deck I refinished held my coffee perfectly. The door locks I installed kept out everyone I didn't invite. I don't rent it out. I don't need the income. I need the space. The physical and psychological space that's entirely mine. My parents wanted to monetize my refuge. Instead, they lost access to it forever. They tried to claim ownership of something I built. The property databases disagreed. The platform disagreed. The law disagreed. Sometimes the best revenge isn't rage. It's a deed with only your name on it, locks they can't open, and a bank account they can't touch. The family cabin belongs to all of us, my mother said. The county recorder says otherwise. And that's the only opinion that matters.